Okay, so let's jump right into Genesis chapter 25.
Yeah, let's do it. This chapter, it's a real linchpin, isn't it?
Totally. So much transition happening. End of an era, beginning of, well, a whole new drama.
Exactly. It kind of bridges everything. We've got Abraham's final days, but then, boom, we pivot straight into the next generation.
Right. So Abraham's last years. And the first thing, maybe a bit surprising, is he takes another wife after Sarah, Keturah.
Keturah, yeah. And, she bears him quite a few sons.
Mm.
Let's see. Zimran, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua.
6 sons. And the text even gives us a few descendants from them, like Jokshan's line leading to Sheba and Dedan.
hmm And Dedan's descendants are listed too, the Asherites, Letishites, Leamites, and Midian sons as well.
Ephah, Hanok, Abida, Elda. These aren't just like random names. They connect to peoples we hear about later.
Absolutely, their branches spreading out. But then you get this really key detail about how Abraham settles things.
Ah, the inheritance.
Yeah.
He gives everything he owns to Isaac. Full stop.
Right, the main line, the promise that's secured with Isaac.
And this is important. While he's still alive, he gives gifts to his other sons, the sons of his concubines, which seems to include Keturah's sons here.
Yeah, the text implies that. And then what does he do?
Sends them away, eastward, away from Isaac.
It's a very deliberate act, isn't it? It's not just about wealth distribution. It's about geographical and, well, maybe even destiny separation.
Setting up distinct lines, for sure, protecting that central promise given through Isaac.
And then Abraham's death, 175 years old.
A good long life, full of years, as the text says, gathered to his people.
That classic phrase. And who buries him?
Both Isaac and Ishmael, together.
Yeah, that's quite poignant. They come together for this, burying him in the cave of Machpelah, where Sarah is.
The place he bought, so a shared act of respect for their father, even with their paths diverging.
Right, and immediately after Abraham dies, the text makes a point. God blessed Isaac.
The blessing continues. The focus shifts squarely to Isaac, who's living near Bir Lahai-Roi.
And speaking of diverging paths, we then get a quick look at Ishmael's line. Abraham's son with Hagar.
Yeah, his account. And it lists his 12 sons.
Bevioth, Kedar, Adbeel, Mibsam, all the way to Kedema, 12 sons.
And the text explicitly calls them 12 tribal rulers, according to their settlements and camps. So, established leaders.
Each heading up a distinct group. Ishmael also lives a long life, 137 years.
Dies, gathered to his people, just like Abraham and his descendants. Where do they settle?
It describes this wide area from Havilah to Shur, near Egypt, heading towards Asher, a broad territory.
And then there's that rather stark closing line about them.
Oh, yeah. They lived in hostility toward other brothers, or some translations say lived in defiance of or settled in the face of.
It definitely sets a tone, doesn't it? Hinting at future tensions between these related groups.
For sure. It's laying groundwork for later conflicts you read about. Okay, so Abraham's story closes. Ishmael's line is noted, and now...
Now the spotlight hits Isaac full on. This is his story now.
Right. The Toledot, the account of Isaac. We're told he was 40 when he married Rebekah.
And Rebekah's background is given to daughter of Bethuel the Aramean, sister of Laban from Padan Aram. Important connections there.
Very. And then almost immediately, we hit a familiar obstacle.
Barrenness. Rebekah couldn't conceive, just like Sarah before her.
It's a recurring theme, isn't it? But Isaac's response is highlighted.
He prayed. Specifically, she prayed to the Lord on behalf of his wife. Feels very personal.
It does. And the prayer is answered. Rebekah becomes pregnant.
But it's not exactly a smooth pregnancy, is it?
Huh? No. The text says the babies were jostling each other within her.
Jostling, it sounds like a fight scene in there.
Pretty much. And Rebekah understandably is distressed. She asks, why is this happening to me? Like, what is going on?
And she seeks an answer. She went to inquire of the Lord.
Yeah, she takes her confusion straight to God. And she gets this incredible prophecy.
Okay, lay it out for us. This is huge.
The Lord tells her, 2 nations are in your womb. Right there, boom. Not just 2 babies, 2 nations.
Wow, okay.
2 peoples from within you will be separated, so destined division. 1 people will be stronger than the other, and the older will serve the younger.
Whoa. That flips everything on its head, right?
Yeah.
Normally, the older son has precedence.
Completely. It's a divine reversal of the usual cultural expectation. It tells you something extraordinary is planned here, something outside the norm. Destiny, election. It's all hinted at before they're even born.
Sets the stage for major drama. So the time comes for the birth.
Yep. Twins, just as expected. The first one comes out red.
Red.
Yeah, and his whole body like a hairy garment. Very distinct description.
So they name him Esau, which can be related to Harry.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
then right after him.
The second twin comes out literally grabbing Esau's heel.
Amazing image, isn't it? So they name him Jacob, Yaakov, related to the word for heel, akib, but it also carries that connotation of heel grabber or supplanter.
The name itself hints at future conflict, maybe trickery. And Isaac is 60 when they're born.
Right, so they waited 20 years after getting married. That prayer wasn't answered overnight.
Patience is definitely a theme here, too. Okay, so the boys grow up, and they are very different.
Night and day, almost.
Yeah.
Esau grows up to be a skillful hunter, a man of the open country. Outdoorsy, rough, maybe impulsive.
While Jacob is called a quiet man, or maybe mild, plain, wholesome, depending on the translation, stays among the tents. More domestic, perhaps thoughtful.
Different temperaments, different skills, different spaces they occupy. And this leads to...
Parental favoritism? The text is blunt about it.
Very blunt. Isaac, who had a taste for wild game, loved Esau.
Simple as that. He liked the food his hunter son brought.
But Rebekah loved Jacob.
Uh-oh. Division in the family affections right there. Isaac prefers one, Rebecca the other. That's never a good sign.
No, it really sets up potential manipulation and conflict down the line. And that brings us to, well, probably the most famous incident in this chapter.
The birthright. Yeah, okay, set the scene.
Jacob's cooking stew. Some kind of lentil stew, probably reddish in color.
Okay. Cooking at home fits his character description.
And Esau comes stumbling in from the fields. He's famished, probably exhausted, maybe empty-handed from the hunt.
All he can think about is his empty stomach. And he sees the stew.
Yep. And he blurts out, "Quick, let me have some of that red stuff."
Oh.
Some translations say red stew. I'm famished.
That red stuff is even noted as why he got the nickname Edom, which means red.
Right, linking him forever to this moment, this impulsive demand for red stew.
And Jacob, the quiet man, sees his moment.
He does. He replies, "First, sell me your birthright."
Just like that. He leverages Esau's hunger. And the birthright, I mean, that's not a small thing.
Not at all. In that culture, it usually meant a double share of the inheritance, the family leadership, the spiritual lineage, especially in this family, carrying the covenant promise. It's huge.
So what does Esau say?
His response is just,
Wow.
"Look, I am about to die. What good is the birthright to me?"
He's being dramatic, maybe, but he basically says, this future abstract thing means nothing compared to my hunger right now.
He completely devalues it. Immediate physical need trumps everything. The long-term spiritual and material inheritance, worthless to him in that moment.
But Jacob wants to lock it down.
Yeah, he insists, "Swear to me first. Make it official. An oath."
And Esau does it.
He swears. Sells his birthright to Jacob for a bowl of stew.
The transaction is completed. Jacob gives him bread and the lentil stew. Esau eats, drinks, gets up, leaves.
Just like that. And the narrator gives this final cutting verdict.
So Esau despised his birthright.
Despised. Such a strong word. It wasn't just a bad trade in a moment of weakness. The text frames it as reflecting his core attitude. He held this sacred inheritance in contempt.
Wow. So putting it all together, this chapter does so much work. It formally separates Abraham's descendants.
Isaac, Ishmael, the sons of Keturah, sets them on different paths.
It introduces prophecy that shapes events, showing God's plan working even through, and sometimes against, human norms.
Right, like the older serving the younger.
And it starkly shows the impact of individual choices. Esau's choice, driven by immediate need, has massive long-term consequences.
Absolutely. It forces you to think about values, doesn't it? What's really important. The immediate satisfaction or the long-term promise, the legacy.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, how often do we trade something lasting for something temporary? Maybe not a birthright for stew, but the principle.
It's a timeless question, really. Esau becomes this sort of cautionary tale about misplaced priorities.
So Genesis 25 really moves the whole narrative forward. We leave Abraham, acknowledge Ishmael and nations, and zoom right into the complex dynamic between Isaac's sons, Esau and Jacob.
It sets the stage perfectly for all the rivalry, the blessings, the struggles that define the next part of Genesis. It shows how family dynamics, parental preferences, individual choices, and divine destiny all weave together.
So here's something to think about. Esau's decision. Selling something so significant for a single meal. What does that impulsive act really tell us about how we value the present versus the future?
And that word, despised. What does it truly mean to despise an inheritance, a promise, a future that God might have intended? Lots to chew on there.